Hello, 1 mana left with another just kidding. So this is my little discussion on a topic that I've honestly want to talk about for a while now because I feel like it's invading PoE 1 a little bit too much. So the topic here is damage from defenses. So damage from defenses is, for me, a topic of concern because in PoE 2, we don't know how damage is scaled so far, but I can imagine that there will be ways where you can scale damage from defense. So what's the issue? In PoE 1, currently we are facing an epidemic where just about every top build is in some shape or form a stacking abuser. So what do I mean by stacking abuser? I'm talking pretty much about when you can double dip defense and offense from one stat. And let's go into it. First up, strength stack. Now, strength stack is very strong because we have naturally on our character 1 life per 2 strength and then melee physical damage per 5 strength. Okay, so already the base stats, amazing. However, when we add on other things such as this build here, this is Steve's build, we can see synth mod, fire per attack with strength, or the shepherd mod, I think on the explicits, Alberons, and then you have all these things combined so that you have 2.3k strength. You just scale strength and strength only, and you can push your character in terms of offense and defense simultaneously to the moon, right? From one stat. So that is one of the examples. Next up, in-stack. So my current build. My current build is basically an in-stacker. So as we know, in-stacker has both mana and ES per int. So some other builds, for example, would be Lance's build where he has mana RF. He gets ES and mana together. And as you can see, we use EE, of course, damage from defense. And we scale this through intelligent stacking because it gives you so much stats. Right. Next up, we have a life stack. Now, life stack isn't as meta or as strong, however, there are variations. So for me, a clear example would be a Wrathfifth Globe brand life stacker. So why brands? So because the penalty on Wrathfifth is that you sacrifice 10% life when you use or trigger a spell. Because brand has a duration, you don't actually need to cast your skill very often, and it's not too big of a deal. And previously, for me, I had a life stacker with a Bloodthirst, right? Bloodthirst here, and this is a tri-stacker, it's a life accuracy stacker on Juggernaut. Crazy build, but nerfed, heavily nerfed in 3.25. It's gone now, right? It's gone. And then we have, of course, our charge stackers. Now, charge stackers, few variations. We have more recently a power charge stacker for badge to use ES for damage. I mean, this right here goes to show that everything is about stacking. Frenzy stacks, power charge stacks, Radokesh, ES stack. It is the meta in one. And the other example would be the Rutu's build, right? You get cold damage per frenzy here, and you use ice bites. You stack frenzy charges. You get defense from masterful form to get endurance charges. So technically, you get damage and defense from one stat, aka frenzy charge. Next up, Archmage, very popular. Archmage is very strong because you get to scale all your damage through Archmage support, right? Archmage gives you damage based on max mana. Hierophant splits your damage into life and mana, so now your damage comes from defense. Another example would be my current build that I was playing earlier. So one's Archmage, so on, same thing. Archmage and Ice Nova. And then lastly, Aura Stacker, or more well known as armor/res stacker. Basically using Dream Feathers you stack armor, it's a defense, you use defense for damage, now you have defense and damage, right? So, how come these builds have become so powerful recently? First off, in 3.23, Heist was reworked, giving us back new bases. So Simplex, Focus, Helical, Geodesic, those new bases can give you a huge bonus to your build. And it was further amplified in 3.25 with Mists. So, on my character, I have a Simplex Amulet that gives me attributes, in percent, and damage per int, right? Ring gives me, on a Misted Ring, 230 int, and I have 3 negatives there, so it could be even better. And then we have Eldritch Implicits, so here we have damage per int. I have 2.1k int, that is 105% damage for free. And then we have less damage taken from int, so even more defense, right? So now int is getting defense, damage, like 3 to 4 times over with EE, right? It is just ridiculous, right? Ridiculous. And then we also have things like Sublime Vision. So why Sublime? Because strength is a suffix, and res and all that stuff is also a suffix. Then by using a Sublime Vision, in this case, specifically Purifier, you can free up all your suffixes because you can ignore resistances and use all the suffixes for strength, as an example. And of course, items that give too much damage from one modifier. So Alberons, as an example, is the main contributor to this here. You get strength as chaos, which is all your damage. Very strong. Now historically, we had other stacking issues in PoE. So looking further back, looking way back, we have reduced mana reserved. Back in the days, if anyone remembers, you used to be able to snapshot your passive tree. So you could regress your passive tree to take all the reduced mana reserves, reserve all your mana, and then unselect the passive tree, and it would snapshot. More recently, in like Delirium League, you could reach almost 100% reduced mana reserved, and then all your auras are free because it's 100% reduced, and so on. Other things would be aura quality. So after they nerfed it, people were like, well, these divergent gems seem pretty freaking good. How about I stack the quality on this gem to 100%? So now my aura is 10 times better than what it's supposed to be. And so on. There's some other examples here. Now, why is this an issue or a point of concern moving into PoE 2? I think it's important to lay the groundwork immediately that you can't double dip both defense and offense together. I feel like this would be a very difficult balancing choice, because eventually when people get better gear, you have new expansions, you have new ways of getting attributes or life or ES if it still exists, and so on. In that case, you end up losing a important way to balance characters. Because, for example, if we look at PoE 1, we have items like Alberons, which came out in 3.12 maybe, I don't know, something around there, high stake. Now 2.5 years later, even after the nerf, it is still dominating the meta, because by getting defense and offense together, it is too good. It is just too good. Now we also have other things such as, let me think, what else is there? Crown of Eyes. Okay, Crown of Eyes, been in the game since like 1.0, right? Been in the game forever. And Crown of Eyes lets you turn other sources of damage into damage for something else. Now it's not really a stacking thing, but you know, these items that seem inconspicuous at first end up having huge changes. Same as Ephemeral Edge, EE, damage from ES. Perhaps GG expected people to have like 10k ES and balance it like that, 10k ES, maybe 12k. But today we have 40,000 ES, right? 40,000, even 50,000 ES, which makes EE insane. So I think it's important to notice where this could go wrong, right? Especially the quadratic scaling, right? It's just the quadratic scaling from strength. It's just too insane. You get damage and defense simultaneously, and then percentage multiplied on top. It's crazy. And yeah, that's my little bit of a discussion for PoE2. Hopefully, it's all sorted and looked into the future, because I think if nothing else changes, we could see the same path in PoE2, especially as dominant as it is in PoE1. I would see no issue for it to be this dominant in PoE2 as well.